Is it possible for you to direct people to go to the new stream that I just made? Technical problems.
Are you streaming right now?
Yes, I'm live right now. Hi, DPC bushings. Sorry, I had some technical problems. We're trying to direct people to come to this stream rather than the one I had set up. We'll wait for a few more people to come in. Sorry about that, Huey, and gosh, had some technical problems with setting up the stream. So the thing is, it used to be you couldn't set up a stream with your PC and use your phone to stream. So I'm using my phone to stream, and you can set it up now. And I set it up, and I was using my phone to get in to go live, and it locked the orientation to portrait mode, which is not what I wanted. So I had to stop the stream and start a new one. So apologies for the confusion, everybody. We'll wait for a few more people to come in from the other stream. I have my lovely and talented assistant, Lori the Maker, helping me. She's going to monitor the live chat and let me know what questions y'all might have. So hopefully we can get things going here. Again, apologies for the technical issues I've been having, or that I had here. Hey, Lori, thanks for monitoring the chat. Yeah, there were 18 people waiting, and now there's only 6 in the stream right now because they're probably over in the other one that I abruptly stopped once I realized that it was locked to portrait mode. Great. Can you link to the new? Okay.
It took away the chat. Like there was a live chat going on.
Yeah.
And it went away when you ended the stream, but I left a comment on like 5 seconds on the stream.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So hi everybody. Hopefully some more people can come in here soon and say hello. Yeah. Once again, apologies for the confusion on my stream. I'd set it up and everything, and I hadn't used YouTube for a little while. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Kev. I appreciate your feedback. Yeah. So my live stream was all set up, and I went to use my YouTube app on my phone to get into it. And as I was trying to press go, I was holding my phone in portrait mode, and it locked the orientation into portrait mode. So I had to stop it because that's not what I want. I want landscape mode. Hey everybody. Okay, so for those of you that are new to Cammy's Garage, I am a full-time studio artist. This is my studio. Let's take a quick look around here. It is a 2-car garage. Well, more like 2.5-car garage. And, I built this bench here, and I have a lathe that I use a lot for a lot of my work. Got a bandsaw over there, my turning tools. We moved the motorbikes outside so we can chat here. It's a lovely day today. Got all the doors open. So yeah, I am a full-time studio artist. I make art, and in fact, I have a couple of pieces that I have to take to the state fair tomorrow. I'll show them to you. I carved these a little while ago. We got a lionfish here. And this walnut whale. So these I carved with power carving tools and saber-tooth bits, similar to this one. Saber-tooth is a partner. And they provide and make carving bits for tools like angle grinder and just here die grinder. And speaking of that, I've been using those tools in my latest piece. And this is what I'm going to continue to work on today. unfortunately, I won't be able to do any carving really with the saber-tooth burrs because they generate an an outrageous amount of dust, and I had to do quite a good amount of cleaning yesterday just to be able to do the stream today. In fact, this trash can over here was almost full with just wood dust, just from what I've been doing. Well, something else I wanted to mention was these sweet Kimmy's Garage racing team crew shirts that me and Gloria the Maker collaborated on together. I had this idea for these shirts back when I went to NASCAR Hall of Fame a couple of years ago, and I saw some of the paraphernalia there, including like things like this. So I thought that'd be cool to have a Kimmy's Garage like racing crew shirt. So I bought this shirt at a store, just a department store. I bought this ribbon at a craft store, and I special ordered these patches online from a store that makes these specifically. You know what? I wanted to do it locally, but I went to a local embroidery shop and I said, "Hey, can you make this?" And I described, this patch, and they're like, "Oh, we don't do that." And I said, "Well, okay, can you make a T-shirt like this?" And I drew I sketched out a shirt, and they're like, "No, we can't do that." They're a custom embroidery shop, really can't do embroidery. Anyway, that was a good bonding experience with Lori the Maker. She basically just told me what to do and showed me how to use the sewing machine. So I figured Crash was Ellen might appreciate this. She was on earlier. So my apologies for missing a lot of the streams earlier in the day. This is actually my third live stream today. I also have a racing channel because I'm into cars and I do sim racing. So I did 2 races earlier today. It went poorly. I drove really bad today. But let's get back to art. this piece that I'm working on. So Art Fields is a big art event that happens every year in a nearby town called Lake City, and it's a very prestigious event and has upwards of $150,000 worth of prizes. The top prize is $50,000. So this is going to be my Art Fields entry this year, and I know it's kind of difficult to tell what it is right now, but I've been carving all of these individual pieces with the intent of assembling them into a larger piece. So this is cypress, and this is walnut. So they're mostly walnut pieces, and I'm going to have 3 pieces of this cypress. So just to show you what this is going to look like eventually, I can set it up for you. So like I said, I'm just going to continue to work on this piece today. I won't do any carving, but I want to drill dowel holes to put them together. I'll just show you what I'm doing. So this, it's going to be several layers. If you can picture, say, like a cylinder, like a segmented turned cylinder almost. It's going to be big though, so it's going to be how many layers here? So they're going to go together like this. I'm not going to build this too high because it's probably a little bit unstable right now. Yeah, and I don't want it to fall over. Not that they'll be like super damaged or anything. It's not really a big deal, but you get the idea of what I'm going for here, I think. So this is actually going to be eventually. It's eventually going to be 50 inches high. So a big piece. Anyway, I won't build it any taller. I'm afraid it might fall apart or like fall down. But yeah, so the idea is to put dowels right here and then use epoxy to glue it all together. So what I want to do right now is, well, unfortunately, I went, when I was carving this, I went a little too, looking like it's breaking up a little bit, but I went a little too thin right here. You see a hole right there. Oopsie. Not that it will be a big deal. I don't think it'll detract from the piece. It'll be fine. See, look, it's wobbling and it's not falling. Okay. All right, my screen is kind of. How does it sound?
You were fine until you walked up to it.
Okay. Maybe my phone is dying or something. Okay, that looks a little better. All right, so let me show you my process for this. Yeah, okay, hopefully it's back to normal now. It's looking like it's back to normal. Apologies for the technical problems today. So at first, I wanted to just drill a hole, not drill, but put a hole in the center. So I have this roll of tape. Great thing to just use as a circle template. A roll of tape. Nice and simple. Let me get a Sharpie here. Don't be afraid to draw on your wood. Although you have to be careful using a marker because a marker will ink will soak into the wood and stain it. I'm using a marker because I'm going to carve this away anyway. And then once I have the hole in the middle, I basically draw my pattern on freehand. So I was a professional artist for over 20 years. I worked in the animation industry and even worked on The Simpsons, just in case you didn't. So I'm used to drawing and just freehand drawing. Done it for so long, I do it without thinking about it. And as my wife likes to point out, things that come natural to me don't necessarily come natural to other people. Like one of the previous times I did a live stream, I was talking about how to calculate the sizes for your um, segments, making segmented wood turning stuff. And Carl Jacobson was like, "Well, he lost me when he drew a circle." So that's I'm basically mirroring the pattern on the other side. I just want a nice, smooth arc. And my intent is not necessarily to sand these all super smooth and make them shiny and stuff. I just want to have a concept. And I'd like to encourage you guys to, try something new. Make something that, there's some wonderful bowls and wood turning and boxes and things like that were made today. But, I'd like to encourage you to try to make something without a practical function, something that just looks visually compelling. And that's the intent when I make art. I'd like to make something that's visually compelling. I don't know if I necessarily do that all the time, but what? Okay, the video is choppy again. Sorry, guys. My phone is is like, I don't know how old, 10 years old now, and it still works for the most part, but it appears to be not working very well right now. So that's where I start with this piece of wood. This is 7.5 inches on each side, and it's basically a square, and it's 2 inches thick. So then I put it in the vise here, put it in the vise like that, and I used this 1-inch sphere tool, carving burr, just to carve the narrower section of this in here, and I did it on both sides. And then once I had that done, I switched to this carving cup, which is one of Sabertooth's Whisper bits, and it's really, really fine grit, and it works really fast. Even though it's a finer grit, it works fast, and carve it so it eventually looks like this. So I will go over this with a piece of sandpaper just to take off the rough edges and remove the rest of the ink. You can see a little bit of ink there and some fly off bits. Like, grain, torn out grain. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I have to drill holes in the ends for dowels. And I have a 3/8 inch dowel right here. So I don't want to drill too deep in here. I also fear, because I'm going to be drilling into end grain, that it might split on me also. So I'm kind of concerned about that. But I'm just going to freehand it here, like I always do. Now, most of the time, I just make stuff up as I go and don't really think about. I don't want to crush that too much either. Hopefully, what? Yeah, I know. I think the problem is just my phone is just too old or something. Anyway, let's drop this down so you can see what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm just going to drill a dowel hole here, see what happens. And I don't want to go too deep at all. Simply, well, number one, I'm afraid it'll split, and number two, because I've carved this in a little bit, if I go in too far, I might drill through the side. Same with this side. So I'm not going to have very long dowels to go in there, although I want to make sure that the dowel goes in there pretty easily. And eventually I'll just use epoxy to glue these in. Oh, drill it on both ends. There's a couple of anecdotes I wanted to mention too. There was one time I was talking to a nurse, and this nurse was asking me what I did, and I told her I was an artist, and she talked about how she made things, woven things, like not baskets, but they were like wall decorations. And I said, "Oh, you're an artist?" And she said, "Oh, no, I'm not an artist." And I said, "You're making art. You're an artist." So, if you don't necessarily see yourself as an artist, but if you make art, I think you're an artist. Another good example of that is I was taking my car took my car in to get it serviced, and the service manager gave me a ride home. And I was asking him what he was doing, what he did. He said, "Oh, well, I play in this band." And I said, "Oh, you're a musician?" And he paused for a second, and he said, "No one's ever called me that before." And I think it was an epiphany moment for him that someone appreciated him as a musician, as an artist, basically. So hit me up with any questions if you have any questions. My wife is monitoring the chat. Again, apologies for the video issues. I think the problem is my old phone. So, Lori, will you buy me a new phone? So the last couple of times I did the virtual crafty festival, I used my phone. Well, all of the times that I did this festival, I used my phone to stream. So it seemed to work just fine then, but it seems we have some issues now. And maybe my phone is doing other things. Maybe my So these don't have to be accurate simply because of the way they go together. They will, as long as I don't glue them up right away, I can.
How long did it take you to make the lionfish?
The lionfish took me about a week to make the lionfish. Just carving, simply because, well, if you look at it, let's take a better look at the lionfish here. Okay, so this section, this is a fin, and the other side was a fin. These were carved from a piece of maple slab, as well as this. I mean, it's all the same wood. I had a maple slab, and I carved the body with this tail part as one piece. And then these are each individually carved pieces, and I just drilled holes and glued them in with epoxy. These, I drilled holes and put them in with epoxy as well. The same with these side fins down here, and this, what do we call that, butt fin. Interesting story. So yeah, these are really delicate, and
I did leave a comment that say it was very fragile and you don't want to walk too close to it.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so Lori, walking by it one day, just caught her leg on the tip of this and broke it off. Ironically, it was the day that I entered it into the state fair. I know it kind of sounds a little bit hokey to enter stuff in the state fair, but actually the quality of the art that is at our state fair is really kind of mind blowing. Really.
What makes an artist professional?
Well, you're a professional artist if you make your living as an artist. Like I said, I was a artist. I worked in the animation business for 20 years. That's how I made, that was my living. So, yeah, I've been a professional artist. If you do it, as a hobby, but still sell art, you're a professional. Professional usually means you make money off of what you're doing, no matter what it is. So once we moved into this space, Lori saw that I was really passionate about, making art, and was passionate about wood, woodworking, and she encouraged me to do this. Unfortunately, I don't make enough money to make a living at it, even though, I have sold a lot of stuff, just not enough to make a living. But, I enter shows, and I've had shows. Last summer, I had a show in Ohio at a gallery there. That was my first real show, solo show, so that was exciting. Getting back to the working with wood, people have called me a woodworker, and they call me a carpenter sometimes. And I think that while there's nothing wrong with those professions, I'm an artist. I'm not a carpenter. It just so happens that wood is my preferred medium at the moment. I've worked. I've done painting. I've done illustration. Do I do any bird carving? I have carved birds. I've done several owls. I also did an angel sculpture that sold. I can't really show you that, but it had two very large wings. I think the wingspan was about 30 inches, so it was quite large. Sorry, what was that?
Are you guessing the depth that you're
Yep.
drilling?
I'm totally like just freestyling this. This is how we roll in Cammy's garage. Just make a guess. Because ultimately, it doesn't really matter too much in this case because the dowels are going to be hidden, and they're just going to be used to add stability to the piece. But I do have to figure out how long they need to be. So I think I'm going to cut them about 1 inch long. For now, sorry, what? Thank you. Yes, that's probably an elephant I should address. Yeah, so I basically took 6 months off, not necessarily intentionally, but I just lost a lot of motivation. You know, I wasn't selling a lot of work, and just commissions had dried up, and this Lori was pursuing a new career path. So, to be honest, I thought we'd be leaving Columbia, and unfortunately, I would have had to leave Gamey's Garage behind in some ways, depending on where we went. If we could go to a place that we could afford a space like this, I would certainly continue to do Gamey's Garage, and of course, I'll always be an artist. I just may, like I said, I've done painting and illustration and all that, so I might refocus to doing something else. 2D and 3D together, that's perfect. Copper or steel is the question, yeah.
Oh, someone was saying they wanted to make a lionfish out of the.
That is brilliant. I'd love to see that. If you do, make sure you send me the video. Okay. What?
Or Stephen, but the metal lionfish.
The. I'm sorry. What's the question?
Copper or steel. You just then said, "Hey, it'd be great to see it," but metal lionfish. It'd be great to see metal lionfish.
Okay. It would be great to see a metal lionfish. That would be awesome. I'd love to see it. All right, so got my trusty Japanese saw here. I'm just going to cut some dowels. Of course, I haven't drilled all the holes, but I'm just going to try to cut some dowels about 1 inch long. Again, I'm not measuring this. I'm just eyeballing it. That's just what I do. It works out most of the time. Although the steering wheel that I did, so my latest YouTube video was the steering wheel for a vintage race car, and I eyeballed the tenon for my chuck, and it was too small, so I had to remount it on my faceplate in order to. So basically, those are going to go in there like that, and this will go in there like that. Although I think I probably made that dowel too long. Yes, I did. So that's the problem with eyeballing it. But that's okay. Sorry?
That's why you don't glue it on the first try.
Yeah, right. Although now this is too tight. Too snug to get out. Don't even need glue. I'm just going to pull these out with the spare pliers here. Yeah. What I should do is like just sand the tips so that they're rounded off a little bit. Might do that eventually. But yeah, you get the idea. Oh, right. I was cutting more dowels. Cut it a little bit shorter. They don't need to be long at all. I just need it basically to hold. We're not actually holding the pieces together, really, but stabilizing it and positioning them in the right place where I want them. So this is an oak dowel I bought at the hardware store. I could turn dowels, but it would take me an extremely long time to do this many dowels. It's worth my while just to buy a dowel. Any more questions, Lorzie? Okay. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks a lot to JP and Carl for inviting me along onto this new September edition of Virtually Crafty Festival. Let's drill a few more holes. And so the piece that I entered into Art Fields last year was not juried in, unfortunately. Because competition is very fierce. They only have 400 spots and over 1,000 people apply every year to get into it. And it's a juried exhibition. So I had several of these pieces of walnut that were 8 inches wide and they were 2 inches thick. Some of them were just slightly bigger than the others, slightly thicker. I mean, by like an eighth of an inch or something. But some of them are slightly wider. Yeah, so several months ago, I was invited on Carver Conversations, which is a podcast sponsored by Sabretooth, and the host is Night Carver Design. She also has a Maker Conversations podcast. So if you look up Carver Conversations, I think the very first Carver Conversation podcast was me and 3 other artists. Rebecca DeGroot, who has been a guest on the Virtually Crafty Festival in the past. And I'm. Someone asked, "What am I making?" I am making an art piece that is going to be a whole bunch of these put together, assembled into a cylindrical shape. Oh, I only drilled one end. Um, I might be able to show you here in a second what it's going to look like. Oh, dang. That's one thing about drilling freehand sometimes. Sometimes the drill can wander as you're drilling. Gosh, I did it on both of those. Yeah, so sometimes it follows the grain of the wood. And you can see the grain here is going kind of this way. Whoa! Fell over like dominoes. Okay, those are all drilled. Those are all drilled. All right. What are you laughing at? Oh yeah, there's a whole yeah, there's a bunch of noisy things happening outside. Someone's mowing the lawn. This dog barking. This car driving by. All right, let's take some of these dowels and see if we can assemble this into a shape. And ironically, I need. I shouldn't have drilled holes in the base layer. I only need holes on one side, so Yeah, you won't be able to see them anyway, right? Okay, I'm putting these dowels in here like this just as a test, dry test, dry fit test. And you'll let deep enough. All right, that's better. I will tell you in just a second what tools I use when carving. I was just going to get this together. I'll try to get this together. Ooh, not that. This one. In trouble. Okay, there we go. Oh, apologies for that. I just dropped my earphone, AirPod. Okay, that should give you an idea of what this is going to look like. So visualize, well, drill that hole deep enough, I guess. So several layers together. I should have used one of the cypress, but yeah. So this is going to be 50-inch tall with I think it's 7 layers in there. So someone asked me what tools I use for carving. Well, I have several tools. I use a angle grinder, and I use a die grinder. I also have a Dremel over here. A Dremel here, and I also use Sabertooth carving burrs, and you can get 10% off at sabertooth.com for in their online store uh, by using the code CAM10. So try them out for yourself.
I guess is it the grass cutting was getting better than excess supply?
Sorry, what?
I asked if the grass cutting was getting too loud.
Oh, right. Well, it was a second ago. I was about to close the doors because it was really bad. Okay, I'm gonna just continue to work on this. But like I said, this is what it's gonna look like. Uh, so got a few more dowels. See if we can get this thing looking like something. Like I said, I'm just eyeballing the sizes of these. Could probably get away with just using wood glue. Originally, I was going to use epoxy, but probably won't be necessary to use epoxy. You know, wood glue works really well for what it's intended to do, and that is glue pieces of wood together.
Are all the pieces identical or nearly identical?
Yes, all of these pieces that I've carved here, the intent was to make them nearly identical. So I'm gonna have 7 layers of 3, so 21 of these, with 3 of them being cypress. The rest of them are walnut.
Is there any story behind this piece?
No, you know what? So, is there a story behind this piece?
That's my question.
Yeah, okay. So Lori asked me, is there a story behind this piece? And over my career, I've talked with a lot of artists, and sometimes artists often believe that art has to be controversial or have some kind of meaning for it to be art. I think that's great if they want to do that, but I think it's okay just to make something that's visually interesting and maybe nice to look at or ugly. It just depends on the emotional reaction that you want to generate in the viewer. And various viewers will get different things out of. I gotta close the door. Someone's mowing the lawn, and it's very loud. At least one of them. Well, I can barely hear myself talk. What was I talking about? Talking about art and um, artists and what they want to communicate. I don't necessarily want to communicate anything with this piece, um, but I have made pieces with more meaning in the past. This piece was just it was just a concept that I thought of one day, and these things just come to me sometimes, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do that, that kind of notion. That's how most of my work uh, that's where it comes from, is just getting inspired by some. I might even just think about it randomly throughout the day, and just keep it in my mind. Sometimes I'll do a sketch. I don't know if I have a sketch, but um, well, I have one one rough sketch, but I'd also done another sketch of the whole thing, and yeah, I threw it out because of like I can remember that. But yeah, I always keep a post-it pad nearby so I can sketch out ideas. I know Rebecca DeGroot does that too. Oh, I didn't aim the camera. Sorry about that. Of course, my camera is only being wonky. I'm gonna I'm gonna beg Lori for a new phone by the next time we do this. Put some more dowels in here. So like I said, this is just gonna be a dry fit. Hopefully it works out. Ah, gosh, I'm losing my earphone. Obviously, there's a little bit of work I need to do with holes compared to the dowels. Yeah, so this is basically my process and how I make things. I just kind of make stuff up as I go and hope for the best. Hope it works out. Um, yeah, just do things on the fly. I rarely ever plan things, although in some cases you have to. Like if you're making a large segmented piece, uh, you know, I'm not turning anything today, although I like watching people turn stuff. Uh, that I'm going to get back to my lathe in the near future. I had an idea for a turn piece, but it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of work. So yeah, so as I mentioned earlier in the pod about the podcast, the Carver Conversations podcast. Well, one thing I mentioned on that podcast was someone asked me what I want to do next, or is there something I want to try? And I wanted to go bigger, and that's one of the reasons why I'm working on this particular piece. I wanted to do something bigger. Speaking of old things that are not working good anymore, this I think the batteries in my drill are going bad. They won't hold the charge much anymore. It seems like I need to charge them every few minutes almost. See, the battery's running down on this drill, so I gotta get new battery, new fresh battery. That's better. Yeah, I think I want to drill these a little deeper. Ooh, super fast. Oh, one thing I didn't do is put my safety glasses on. I should do that. Yeah, always. I forgot, but you should always wear safety protection when you're working in the shop. I'm sorry, what? Oh, oops. Okay. So this cypress is a little really soft, so I need to be careful not to split it. Thanks, JP. Appreciate it, man. Oh, I should show you. Speaking of splitting, so I threw it out already. But so I was carving one of these pieces of cypress, and I had it in the vise like this. Yeah, like this. So the grain was running this way in this piece, and as I was carving, it basically split in two pieces as I was carving it, simply because of the force. I put it in the vise too tight, and it was the tool was hitting the wood, of course, and that caused a. I well, you probably couldn't hear that, but it just made a crack because I flexed it just with my hands, and it made a cracking noise. So yeah, this wood is a little brittle, I guess. Someone asked. Someone asked, was it JP? Did you say? Have I ever thought about carving The Simpsons? No, because The Simpsons, even though they're very simple characters, they're very difficult to uh, get on model. What we call in the animation is on model. So it takes a lot of practice to draw The Simpsons and make them look like they should. And if they're just a little off, because the characters are so simple, if they're just a little bit off, you know something's wrong. You might not be able to put your finger on it, but you can tell there's something wrong. And The Simpsons are meant to be 2D characters, even though you can buy, toys that are 3D. Obviously, it's not something that I wanted to try myself. So that's why I have not carved The Simpsons. I'll make sure I don't break these pieces. They're brittle. So my friend Bob Lyon gave me this wood, cypress. He made a very large sculpture, outdoor sculpture that's 9 feet tall. This cypress, and I helped him install it last year, or no, it was earlier in this year. It was like in February or something. It's actually pretty cool. Really like the piece. Very striking. Mm. Walnut smells so nice when you work with it. It's such a nice wood to work with. Also, kind of creamy, very nice to carve. Obviously, it has a beautiful color, and this particular wood has nice grain to it as well. I can't remember where I got this wood. Maybe from my friend. I have a friend in town who has a company that makes bespoke furniture, and I got a lot of wood from him because they use large pieces, or make large pieces. Small pieces they can't really use. So because I usually cut things up and glue them back together, they're perfect for me. So scraps that they can't use, I am perfectly happy to take. Like full-on pieces of milled lumber, you can't use. They're like, yeah, we're gonna burn this. You want it? I'm like, okay. Oh, really? 6 minutes? Wow, that hour went fast. Well, maybe I should wrap it up here then, and encourage you guys to go check out. I think Joey Gonzalez is the next maker up on the list. Um, yeah, so hopefully someone can put a link to Joey's stream in the live chat, and I can give you a few minutes to take a short break before the next maker comes on. But thanks a lot to everybody who's followed along here, and hope you enjoy the rest of the Virtually Crafty Festival. Yeah, sorry I didn't actually finish a thing, but this is what I've got going on in the shop right now, and I just thought I would, talk about art and just continue to work on this piece. I figured you might enjoy seeing my process and just talking about art. So thanks a lot, everybody. Really appreciate everybody watching. I'll certainly be checking out Joey's stream come up next. All right, I guess we're done. So.